Good morning, everybody. Thank you for watching us. My name is Brad Smith, and I'm the president of Microsoft. I'm thrilled to be joined here this morning for a conversation, first of all, with two people who really don't need any introduction here in Georgia, Governor Kemp and Mayor Bottoms, and two people who probably do, two of my colleagues from Microsoft, Michael Ford, who heads our global real estate work, and Fred Humphreys, a proud Morehouse graduate who also leads our government work, our government affairs work across the United States. We're going to have a conversation, but let me first just say a few words about what we're here to talk about today. I guess I should preface what I want to say by saying, if you're unhappy with the rain that's currently falling down, feel free to blame me. I have flown 2,500 miles from Seattle, and apparently the Seattle rain has followed me all the way here. But believe me, it doesn't matter whether it's cloudy outside. As I hope you'll see, we are really excited at Microsoft about what we're here to announce today. We're here to say we're investing in Atlanta, we're growing in Georgia, and we're doing so with, I think, a big vision, and we hope a very long-term commitment. By the end of this year, the end of 2021, our construction project at Quarry Yards will be completed. That means we'll have room for 2,500 employees in Atlanta. But that's really just a starting point, because what we're really doing today is unveiling the plans that we believe will make Atlanta one of the largest hubs for Microsoft in the United States. That leads to the second thing we're announcing today, new data centers, a data center region here in Atlanta. Data centers are really in so many ways the buildings that provide the infrastructure of the 21st century, but they're actually not buildings that most people get to go into. But what you'll see is some big buildings, some campuses going up around Atlanta. They'll be full of the world's best server computers. And what it means here for people who live in Atlanta, for small and other businesses here, services that rely on computers will be even faster. We'll bring world-class security to all of Microsoft's cloud services here. The first thing you'll see, in all probability, is a pretty large number of construction jobs, because it is a big construction project. But in so many ways, the biggest thing that we're here to talk about today is the fact that Microsoft has purchased the 90 acres at Quarry Yards and Quarry Hills. This is a really exciting thing for us, because it means it will be the site of a future Microsoft campus. It'll be a part of our home here in the Atlanta community. But we're pursuing this in what we like to think, what we hope will be a methodical and thoughtful way. And so what we're talking about today is three principles. The first is, before we decide what to build and how to build it, we really want to listen to and talk with and learn from people here in the Atlanta community. We know that we'll have a second principle. You're going to see, I think, one of the world's leading sustainable campuses grow up in the years ahead. That will reduce our carbon footprint, recycle water, and really run on the basis of zero waste, meaning we'll recycle all of our waste as well. But it's the third principle that I think is the most important. We want to really invest in the community. That's why today, one of the things we're announcing is that we'll dedicate 25% of these 90 acres, not to office buildings that are filled by people at Microsoft, but really to the community. Things that we hope will serve the Grove Park neighborhood well. Things like empowered or affordable housing, other community needs, whether it's a grocery store or a pharmacy or a skilling center. This is the conversation we're looking forward to having. And it's a conversation that will include lots of other topics where we hope to invest in skilling programs, in affordable broadband, support for Atlanta's great nonprofits. So it's as you can see, an exciting moment for us. Doesn't matter whether it's raining outside. And it, I think, sets the stage for this conversation. Mayor Bottoms, I first want to say thank you and to Governor Kemp for being here. I so appreciated the opportunity to talk with you when I visited in November. You gave us some good advice not only about what is great about Atlanta, but how a company like Microsoft really needs to think about the needs of Atlanta. Believe me, I've quoted you often in the last few months when I've been back in Seattle. It would be great if you could share with all of us a few of your thoughts. What do you want what do you want us to know? What do you hope we can work on together to meet the community's needs?
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for believing in Atlanta and investing in Atlanta and for listening. We did have a great conversation, and what I shared was Fred's dad was my president at Florida A&M University, and he trained an entire generation of us to believe that we could go out and work for companies like Microsoft, and that we could lead cities, and that we could be a part of the fabric of all the things that makes America great. And what we talked about back in November was making sure that this community, the West Side community, would not be left behind in the progress of Atlanta. And quite often, our communities are looking through the window pane, their noses pressed against the glass, thinking and feeling that this progress is for somebody else. But what we know, it's for all of our communities. And I am really inspired by your commitment to our communities. I shared the story of my family's traveling to the west side of Atlanta in a horse and buggy from the cotton fields of East Georgia, believing that there was opportunity, and there's still families in this community looking for that opportunity. So in addition to the construction jobs, I know there'll be really synergy with the Atlanta University Center, with our students there. There'll be job training, and there will be an opportunity for our communities to live, work, and play in this area that so many generations have called home. So thank you for that. It really fulfills our vision for creating one Atlanta and gets us many, many steps closer to making that a reality.
Well, thank you. We look forward to this being a continuing dialogue. And so I know I'm going to be asking for advice on many days in the future, as will all of us. I mean, Governor Kemp, this is obviously not just about the city of Atlanta. It's about the state of Georgia. And that's a big part of what has attracted Microsoft here, not just the benefits we see in the city itself, but what's been going on across the state under your leadership. What are you hoping that we can do together, and what do you want me to take back as we think more about what we should do at Microsoft?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just to thank you, and I think you can take back that we're so excited. This is a great opportunity for the state of Georgia, obviously for the city of Atlanta. I'm honored to be with all of you this morning, and this is the exact kind of thing that we've been working on in this state for a long time. I think just with our business environment that we've had for over a decade now, probably longer, the relationships, partnerships that we have with great big business, but also as a small business person myself, with how entrepreneurship is thriving. Our economy here is incredibly diverse, which I think is going to be great for a company like Microsoft to have a big presence here. We haven't seen our economic development pipeline as busy it is right now that anybody can really remember. And I think that's a testament to really how we all have worked together to create that, to fight through tough times that we've been through, like with COVID, but also working with different partners, as the mayor mentioned, when you think about just the educational opportunities at all levels. And I know that that's something that the company is focused on, of job training, whether it's, advanced degrees at places like University of Georgia and Georgia Tech and others, to just a skilled workforce that really is starting in middle and high school now when you think about robotics and moving into other things, and whether people are going to college, a technical program to get those skills. And I know that Microsoft will be a big part of that in the future, and just the, kind of the opportunity that this campus is going to provide, not only in the next couple of years, but just over the next decade, is going to be something that will long outlive my tenure and the mayor's as well. And we're certainly excited about that.
Well, thank you. And I really like one of the points you made, because I have to say, for us at Microsoft, we're going to be creating jobs here. And we want to fill them with people who are growing up here. And we have this extraordinary opportunity to work with some of the great colleges and universities you could find anywhere in the world, right here in Atlanta. But I also think you made a really interesting point. I hope that there are people who will watch this who might just be in high school today or might even be younger. I hope that some of you someday will come join us and take one of these jobs at Microsoft, because I think we're going to have some pretty exciting things going on here. Of course, to do that, we're going to have to build some buildings. And Michael, you and I have worked on these kinds of projects, and you lead basically a global real estate empire these days. And you've managed huge projects from Seattle and San Francisco to to Singapore and London and Paris and Berlin. Tell us what people can start to look forward to seeing here in Atlanta.
All right, great. Thanks, Brad. First of all, I'm happy to be here. Great to see you, Mayor, Governor. We're excited about what we're about to do going forward. Like Brad said, we've made the announcement today. Now I have to build it. My team and I have to build it. And we're looking forward to building with the city of Atlanta and with the state of Georgia. We actually, started in 2007 in Alpharetta, our sales location. And then we moved to Buckhead, and then we have a location in Midtown. But we're really excited about Atlantic Yards. Atlantic Yards opens later this summer. That will add another 1,500 jobs to the area, and the total of about 2,500 by the end of this year or next year. So we're really excited about that. But the 90 acres that we just purchased, that's where we're really excited there. There's a lot that we can do there, but we're sort of going to flip things. Normally, a company comes in and they'll build their office space, and they really forget about everybody else. We're going to reverse that. We're going to focus on the community first. So we're going to continue to have the conversations that we started months ago to understand what the community needs. We're going to focus on affordable housing or empowered housing. We're going to focus on infrastructure projects to support that community, Grove Park, and also the amenities that they need to be a thriving community. So we're going to focus there. So we're really excited about that. We're going to continue the conversation, of course, with the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia to get it right the first time. So appreciate it and look forward to the long relationship.
Thanks, Michael. And it connects well with what I wanted to ask you about, Fred. Fred is probably the person I maybe have worked with more closely than anybody at Microsoft for the last 20 years, which means for 20 years, I have been hearing about Morehouse. So I was very excited to come here, with Fred and Michael in November and meet some people from Morehouse and the other local colleges. But, Fred, wearing your Microsoft hat, you also wear a Morehouse hat. You wear the hat of a former Atlanta resident. What are you hoping, because you're going to be playing an ongoing role in this, that we can do to serve the community here?
Well, first of all, thank you, Brad. And I want to just say thank you to the governor. Your leadership when it comes to economic development and the climate that you've set here in the state of Georgia, and the strong higher education system and all the work that you've done is just greatly appreciated. And then I want to say to the distinguished mayor, who's an incredible leader, who's a Florida A&M rattler, and one that I think about the conversation as well. And as a proud, now what we refer to is, I want to make sure it's right, they call us Morehouse men, Morehouse man, but as far as a Morehouse alum, I just want to say you were very prescriptive when you talk about the One Atlanta. One of the things that you emphasize is when you think about community, compassion plus equity. If you get that right, and what I liked is you were very prescriptive of like, here's a roadmap and here's how to have success, which we have followed based upon that conversation, which is community. Community is not just talking to other business leaders, not just talking to other companies, not just talking to those who want to do business, but those are in what I call the real community, faith-based leaders, people who live in the community, consult and talk so that there's a real discussion, but to listen and to learn. And, that was the best advice one could give. You're welcoming to us, but at the same time, like, hey, if you don't go do X, Y, and Z, you're going to have challenges. We take that seriously, and we've been having those type of discussions, and we're going to continue, and that'll make us stronger. And then I would just kind of close with, why not Atlanta? when you look at the Georgia Tech, Georgia State, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Spelman, wow, talent. You look at affordability and a place to be, wow. When you think of diversity, it's incredible. These are all the things that companies look at that Atlanta has just so much richness regarding. And so we thank you for your leadership. We thank you, Governor, for your leadership. And boy, it's great to be back home in Atlanta. And I can't wait to, I come here already, but I get to come here some more in my job.
Well, thanks, Fred. And Governor, you were talking before a little bit about the focus on skilling, and you've made it a priority to really develop a skilled workforce here in Georgia. How do you think about that priority for the state and where we at Microsoft hopefully can fit in?
Well, first I want to let Fred know I was at Morehouse School of Medicine yesterday. Very impressive.
Dr. Montgomery,
yeah, she's doing awesome.
And I'm glad you raised it. Morehouse Medical School.
I didn't mean to get us off track.
Hey, Governor, thanks for covering for me. Appreciate that handoff.
It was great. But, I think one of the reasons that we have been successful in Georgia, and it really doesn't matter whether you're in the city of Atlanta or in a rural part of our state, is we have for a long time focused on that skilled workforce. And that's why companies like Microsoft want to be in the state of Georgia, in the city of Atlanta, because you have access to that qualified workforce. And we compete all the time with states around us, states around the country. We talked about this earlier, Brad, internationally. And a lot of it is tied back to workforce, because if you build anything, it doesn't matter whether it's a campus or advanced manufacturing facility or whatever it is, if you don't have people to work in that facility, it doesn't make sense to do that. And I think Georgia has stayed on the cutting edge of that because of our investments into higher education, but not just there. Our technical colleges and the technical college system of Georgia that really focuses on that skilled workforce across a broad spectrum, the investments and how we've moved the needle in K through 12 education now, and making sure that those kids, as you mentioned earlier, are going to be the future employees of companies like Microsoft and others that are here, and then just the environment that we've created. I think that skilled workforce is a big part of that. The state of Georgia, a long time before I got there, for decades has invested in that workforce, and it continues to pay off, because we can be as competitive as anyone else on all the other metrics, but you've got to have the skilled workforce. And we're fortunate to live in a state and be in a city where people want to come here, but it's a lot easier for us to lure and work with and build partnerships with companies like Microsoft if we have that homegrown talent that's already here. And that is something that we can market as good as anybody in the country.
No, I think that's well put, and I remember well the conversation we had in November, and you made a very compelling case for all of the people who work here in Georgia today and can work here in the future, and who going to school today and a brighter future.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I've been over the last week or so meeting with a lot of our college presidents and talking about those kind of things. And one of the things that we were talking about the other day was two different presidents at Georgia Southern and UGA. We know this is going on at Georgia Tech and other places, but just our engineering program and where the state has come over the last decade on all kinds of different engineers, but certainly a lot of them that are involved in information technology. And I mean, that is our future, and we have to continue to do that. And we have many other things like that we continue to invest in, and frantically building classrooms and labs and other things to produce that workforce that great companies like you all need.
Yeah, well, thank you. And Mayor Bottoms, we've had some of the same conversation with you. We've had the opportunity to work with you and your team on our Accelerate program. What do you see as the skilling needs here in Atlanta, and where you hope we can help fit in meeting those?
Well, so much has been said about our institutions of higher learning in the city, but I do think there's a real opportunity even going beyond that into our high schools, and even just the presence, having your presence in the city and saying to kids who may be in 3rd or 4th grade that this is for you too, and that there's an opportunity for us to change a mindset and to get our communities thinking about the future in a way that perhaps may not be in front of them right now. I know that we've had some success working with many of our other corporate leaders in the city, and I know that you all will join those ranks in making sure that we're getting people in the pipeline for technical training at Atlanta Technical College, making sure that we're reaching into our high schools and saying these are the courses you should look at, these providing mentorships to many students who may not have anyone in their family who's even graduated from college or attended college. So all of these things will be necessary, but again, I can't stress enough how encouraged I am, even by this conversation, because we did have a very frank conversation in November, and you've come back and you said, we listen, and these are the tangible things that we are doing to make sure that we are invested in the community. And Atlanta is the place where dreams are able to take form. And the dream of having a company like Microsoft in Atlanta that says, I hear you, I'm interested in making sure that we have a physical presence, but more than that, I want us connected to your communities in a meaningful way. That's what our city is all about.
Well, I think that really says it well. And for us at Microsoft, we are really excited about the range of opportunities. We do a lot around skilling, especially skilling for digital skills. And at one level, people may look at that and say, yes, that's if you want to learn computer science or how to code or data science. All of that is true, but it's so much more these days. I think almost every job is increasingly involving some more digital skilling. And so we're really focused on the breadth of every age, every occupation, and where we hope we can fit in. And then we're really interested in other opportunities like bringing more affordable broadband and devices to people who are not benefiting from, say, access to high-speed internet today. And one of the things we've learned is it's just true of everywhere in the United States, it's definitely true of Atlanta. Every great community has great nonprofits. And when you look at what nonprofits are working to accomplish today, it requires money, it requires technology, it requires the skills base of what we hope we can bring in supporting nonprofits here. And one of my favorite things about Microsoft is something that Bill Gates established when the company was really young. He did it because he listened to his mother. Bill's mom was a very prominent and involved in the United Way, both in Seattle and nationally. So when he was a young business leader, company wasn't big, she said, Bill, you got to create a culture of giving. And so one of the things that we have at Microsoft is a benefit. Every employee can donate up to $15,000 a year to a nonprofit, and Microsoft will match it dollar for dollar. Any employee can volunteer time, and for every hour an employee spends with a nonprofit, Microsoft will donate $25. And nationally, this is a $140 million program last year between the donations from our employees and the company match. So every time Microsoft hires somebody here in Atlanta, I hope we're hiring somebody that will get involved and give back to the community and will be an engine for that kind of support. But in closing, I first want to thank the two of you. I have to say, you did for us what great governors and mayors do. You made the case, and you showed us the way, and you gave us great advice about how to get involved here in Atlanta. But I also appreciate the kind of conversation we've been having with the two of you and with so many other people already in Atlanta and northern Georgia. We need advice. We want to learn. That's the only way that this is going to be a success. And we're like any company. You have to worry about next quarter and this year. But one of the things that we really do try to focus on at Microsoft is not the year ahead, but the decade ahead. And that's what we're focused on here. What we'll be able to do at Quarry Yards and Quarry Hills over the next decade, and frankly, for the rest of our lives, because this is going to become one of Microsoft's major homes. And so we always, like anybody, like to hear what Atlanta can do to help Microsoft, but the real conversation that we've been having is what Microsoft can do to help Atlanta. That's what it takes to have a great community and you can never have a great company without that. So thank you for your hospitality. You're famous for it. You've lived up to it. But more than that, thank you for what we hope will be a long and very beautiful friendship together. So thank you all for joining us today.